You're listening to Bigfoot Society, and I'm Jeremiah Byron. Tonight's story isn't from a hiker or a hunter. It's from a man who grew up in the deep woods of Tennessee, where the mountains whisper secrets and sometimes scream. While rappelling down a 90-foot cliff, he came face to face with something enormous. Amber eyes, black fur, and a second set of eyes, smaller, watching. And it wasn't just one, and it wasn't happy to see him. This isn't a campfire tale. It's a first-hand encounter with a creature that didn't want to be seen. This is a story of Project Broken Man and what he saw clinging to his rope in the mountains of Teleco Plains, Tennessee. So stay with us. Hey everyone, let me know if you can hear me in the comments down there. We're just going to hang out, see if anyone's got any Bigfoot stories to share. Guys, did you see the video over on the How to Hunt YouTube channel of the family of Sasquatch along the river out there in Idaho? It is a wild video. You guys should check that out. Let me know in the comments if you've seen this video, if you have any thoughts as to what it is. I don't know, it looks pretty legit. Some dude sent it into him. And I see in the comments over there that other people have had access to this video as well. They just haven't been able to share it yet. It looks pretty legit. I mean, you can see long arms. You can see the little ones running way quicker than anything else should. It doesn't look like an AI video. I do a ton with AI. It does not look like an AI video to me. So, I don't know. We will see. Hey, Bear, thanks for coming up. Do you mind if I potentially use this audio for my podcast?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, the audio is a little bit faint as well. I don't know if you're able to get a little closer to your phone.
Yeah, can you hear me now? How about now? Can you hear me now?
Oh, that's great. Yeah, you got it, man. Perfect.
Okay. So my partner and I, we work for agricultural, and we were at 3 a.m. out in Lake Wells, just doing our thing, and he stopped and turned off his lights, and it was kind of crazy where he said, "Hey, look at this," and he shined the lights on, and we saw a big old figure, a brown figure, take off like human-like, and this thing flew. I mean, it flew. And I was like, nah, that can't be right. So we ended up looking up online, and there's been several sightings in Lake Wells about Bigfoot around that area.
Oh man, do you remember any details about what you were able to see that morning?
Yeah, actually, it was really big. I mean, very big. When it stood up, it must have been at least over 6 foot. Very big and bulky, brownish, like brown, kind of blackish. A very distinct odor, like a bad skunk smell that was going off. It was like, we're like, man, we never smelled like that before. But it ran off into the woods, and we're like, okay. So about 2 hours later, we came back out to the field when it was daylight. I ended up going to the pond and looking around, and saw a couple of tree branches that were freshly broken the way where that thing was going, and a piece of log that was being dragged out of the pond. And ever since then, we kind of joke around about like we're going to go out there and visit Bigfoot, and we still go to that field. So we just looked it up online, and there was a lot of people in Lake Wells that had sightings, even including on the highway out there, or Highway 27. And the latest one I believe was 2009. I believe that's the last time we saw something like that.
Was it overly muscular or skinny?
It was muscular. It was very big, but it ran so fast on 2 legs. It was fast. Like it was. We never seen anything run that fast before, ever.
When you saw it running, was it doing anything with its arms or moving its legs in a certain way?
It was kind of running like an ape-like in the beginning, and then.
You there? Uh-oh. Think
You know what I mean? So it was kind of getting up off the pond, like it was sitting at the pond, got up, and then next thing it just took off.
Got it. Bear, we actually cut out for a little bit. Would you be able to say about how his, you said he started moving like an ape and then it turned into something else?
Yeah, it got up like an ape, like kind of figured like the arms are like, it's kind of like a silverback does when he gets up from squatting. His arms are dangling, like just dangling on the side of him.
Mm.
And once he spotted us, he started taking off. And then when he was running, it was just a little motion on his arms, not like a human, like a little bending of his elbows, but his legs were not completely straightened. It was kind of like bent, kind of like he was running in a squatted position. But he was, I mean, just whatever it was moving so fast that we lost it that quick. It was like a minute we saw it, and it just disappeared in the woods.
Wow. That is wild. Were you able to see any details of its face at all?
No, not at all. It was so dark up there. I mean, at 3 o'clock in the morning, there's no lights, and out in the prairie, there's no lights. It's just our truck lights, and we just got a glimpse of it, the backside, and then the side of it, and that was it. And it never looked toward us or anything like that. And ever since then, we're kind of like spooked out a little bit, if you want to say, going out there. And we're always looking for any kind of signs are out there. And I overheard you saying, like the deers, a lot of animals out there in the forest and everything. We saw a couple cow skeletons out there, and we asked the rancher, and the rancher doesn't know how this cow died at all. So, you know, so we didn't know what to do. We thought we were just kind of tripping, but I just ran into your TikTok, and I was like, wow, I got to tell my story here. That everybody might think, oh, you crazy, but I'm not crazy. I know what I saw.
Absolutely. Bear, thank you for coming up to share what you guys were looking at, what you saw that night. If you ever have anything else happen out there, feel free to reach out to Bigfoot Society at gmail.com. But I appreciate you coming up, man.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you. And trust me, we're trying to get pictures. We're going to see it again. I guarantee it.
Yes, sir.
Trust me. Thank you.
Oh, good stuff. What an interesting encounter from the Lake Wales area. All right, here's Sinister. Hey, Sinister, how's it going?
Good. How are you today?
Good. Do you mind if I potentially use this audio for a podcast episode?
Absolutely.
Awesome. So
Absolutely.
yeah,
Please.
what do you have to share today, sir?
Well, my in the interest of full disclosure, my interest is not necessarily with Bigfoot. I am very deeply involved with a different interest, which actually caused me to move to where I live now to pursue it more. But when I was a teenager, my father was very good friends with a man who had recently retired from the CIA. And he was over at our house one night for dinner. And this is the type of man that would have no reason to tell a lie or anything. And me being the curious person I was, because of an experience that I had when I was young, I asked him, I said, hey, tell me some stuff. And he did tell me that anything that he knew as a CIA agent, that he was bound to secrecy for obvious reasons. One thing he did say was that if the general public knew the truth about what is out there, he estimated that 10% of the public would jump off a building because they wouldn't be able to handle the truth. Now, so he proceeded to tell me something. He says, now this is not CIA related. So he was able to tell me this story, and I've never forgotten it. He was flying in a helicopter in Missouri, and they started tracking what he guessed was an 8-foot tall bipedal. He said it looked like a Bigfoot, and it was running, and they clocked it at about 45 miles an hour. And they kept a light on it as it ran. And, so this was not involved with his work with the government, but a personal experience.
I'm gonna bring up Timmy here.
How's it going?
Hey, how's it going? You coming up to share something about Bigfoot you've encountered?
Yes, I
Hey,
had an encounter.
awesome. Do you mind if I potentially use this audio for my podcast?
Not a problem at all.
All right, feel free to go ahead there.
So I used to be a long haul trucker, and I was picking up a load of paper to take down to be made into cardboard in Washington, and there was like a 3-hour wait for our load to be ready. So we stopped at a place called GC's Truck Stop. It's about like 26 miles north of the Washington-Oregon border on Interstate 5, and the truck stop's whole theme is Bigfoot. But they have a huge dirt parking lot, and so we kind of parked out of the way from everybody, me and my teammate. And my teammate was inside getting some food. I was running around the truck doing what's called a pre-trip to make sure the truck was in good running order. And so I stopped and I pulled out my cigarettes and I was smoking. And so the way the truck stop is set up, the parking lot is kind of south of the truck stop, and then there's the big buildings, and behind the buildings it's like a little pond with a little gated area that has like ducks, geese, and stuff. And so I'm looking over there, I could see the geese and ducks flapping around, playing around, and behind that it's all forest. And so I see some movement in the forest. I don't think anything of it. I'm thinking I'm deer or whatever. So I continue going about my way, and then I kind of look back and I'm like, what was that? And it was big and it was brown, and I was probably about 150 yards away from it, so I couldn't see too clearly because of the distance. But this thing was massive, and it walked out from the trees down to this pond area. And now, mind you, this is middle of the day, like 2, 3 o'clock. It's not cloudy, it's not rainy or anything. It walks out and it walks up to the pond, reaches over the fence, and it grabs a goose. Now, the geese and the ducks were not freaking out, so I do think, personally, there might be a possibility it was a hoax. Maybe somebody was dressed up, trying to draw attention, because like I said, the truck stop's whole theme was Bigfoot, but it was big. Like, this thing leaned over a 4-foot fence and reached into the pond that was probably a good 2 feet away from the edge of the fence and grabbed a goose. And it just casually walked back off into the forest. So I'm like, again, I was about 150 yards away. So distance and sizing, I can't give you accurate, but I would guess this thing was at least 8 feet tall.
Dang. Timmy, have you called in before?
I don't know. Maybe I have. I hop into random lives all the time.
Okay. I can't remember your voice, but I do remember someone actually sharing about this exact truck stop and that they saw one with a goose. So I don't you may have come in before.
It
But
very well might have been me, yes.
okay. I was just checking because when you have two things like that happen at the same place, then you really need to pay attention to it. That's incredible. And the interesting thing is that they weren't really responding. They're just hanging out like the
Yeah,
birds.
yeah, like when I went up to the gated area afterwards, like they didn't like freak out or anything, but they swam away from the edge of the water away from me, which is why I kind of think maybe potentially it might have been somebody, because geese are very territorial. They will attack if you get too close to them. So
Oh
it's
yeah,
like
absolutely.
that's the only reason why I'm like, maybe it wasn't real, but like, I don't know how they could fake the size of it. Like, because
Mm.
this, like I said, it had to have been at least 8 foot tall, because the fence was like 4 foot high. I'm 6'5", and the gate came up to about mid gut for me. And this thing leaned over at the hips and grabbed the goose and then turned around and it just casually walked back in there like it was, just taking a stroll through the woods. It wasn't running. It wasn't, like trying to hide itself. So that's the only reason it's got my skeptic mind saying maybe it wasn't real.
It's in the perfect spot, though. I mean, it's just north of like Longview and Castle Rock, and I mean, you hear
Mhm.
so much from that area. At least I get a ton of stuff in my emails about that. But have you heard any of your other trucker buddies share things that they've experienced out there as well? Or
Yeah, as a matter of fact, so a good friend of mine that's also a trucker, he used to do what's called a deadhead from Sumner, Washington, straight down the I-5 into Northern California to pick up loads and go back and forth like that was his run. And he would stop up there to fuel and get food and stuff. He said several times that you could hear like loud, like hollering and tree knocks, I guess is what he
Mhm.
calls it. And then, yeah, he said that there you could see in the forest, like he said, you can see stuff moving around. He's like, I never actually saw anything come out of the woods, but he said I saw several. Like he said, if they're there, there's multiple of them. It's not just like a single thing. He's like, I couldn't tell if it was moose. He goes, I don't know if they have moose in the area. But he goes, the things that I saw were big. But he goes, I hear these weird, like loud, like hoot noises, like something's like trying to scare something off. And if you watch like the Bigfoot TV stuff, he said it sounds very similar to that. He goes, it could very well be a regular animal to the area, but he goes, I don't know. After what you saw, he goes, I think there is something up there. And then like there's a lot of whispers from the people up there that they see stuff all the time, and that's the whole reason why the truck stop themed their stuff after the Bigfoot, because there's been several major sightings in the area.
Interesting. You know what? I'm gonna give that truck stop a call. You know what? Since I don't think it was coincidence that you came in here twice over the years, and yeah, I'm gonna give him a call and just ask him. Let's see what happens. So thank you for coming up, Timmy.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, it's called GEE, and then CEE's truck stop, GC's truck stop.
Yep, absolutely. All right, thank you, man.
Not a problem. You have a good one.
You too. All right. Such a good story from over there, GC's truck stop in Toledo, Washington. Riff Warden says, I have a story in Oklahoma. All right, let's bring you up, Riff. Hey,
Hey, how's
Riff,
it
this is
going?
Jeremiah. Thanks for coming up. Do you mind if I potentially use this audio for my podcast?
Yes, sir.
Awesome. Well, yeah, feel free to go ahead and share what you've experienced there.
Sure. Yeah. So this was at least 15 or so years ago. I'm in my mid 30s. So this was when I was probably 16 or 17. Me and about four of my friends. This was located in Oklahoma City, northwest Oklahoma City, on the outskirts of the city limits where it starts to turn into kind of the rural areas. There's spots and patches of dense forestry and rivers kind of between all of the fields, and it kind of interconnects everything. We went out to a big field, and we had three trucks. We all piled in three different trucks. We went out there to basically start a bonfire, hang out, and drink and just have a good time. We ended up staying up pretty late. It was probably 2 or 3 in the morning. We started just kind of trekking out and just exploring, just being kids, going underneath the road passes and all through the woods and stuff. Didn't really see anything. Everything felt pretty normal. Didn't hear anything. Everything was fine. One guy stayed behind because he was tired, so he wanted to go sleep in his truck. When we came back to where we had parked all of our trucks in the fire, all of us were tired. We all climbed in the trucks. That's where we slept, and there was like an SUV, 2 pickup trucks that had enough room for all of us to kind of sprawl out. So we all ended up going to bed. In the middle of the night, we kept hearing thuds and like loud sounds outside, and it was pretty cold, so all the windows had kind of fogged up, and we couldn't see anything outside. And I don't know who all was awake in the other trucks. I just know that 2 of us were awake in the one that I was in. We didn't really think anything of it. Thought maybe it was the other guys getting out, going to the bathroom, something like that, getting out of the trucks. Fell asleep, woke up early in the morning where there's just a dew on everything. There's a dew on the windshield, or on the windshield, and like the windows on the sides, and there had been like wiped away marks, or you can see like big handprints, and it like something basically was going around the trucks. Something or someone was basically going around the trucks and looking inside and trying to see who all was in there and what was going on. And the weirdest thing about it, I would have thought it would have just been like a normal person, but the handprints were huge, and then there were huge footprints all outside the trucks that were like 2 times ours, as far as like how big they were. And so I wear like a size 11, so it was a pretty significant footprint. I didn't see anything, didn't hear anything, but it spooked all of us because something had been kind of walking around the trucks, peering in the windows, that was way bigger than us. So it was either a prank, and nobody there swore it was them. Like everybody was like completely freaked out. So either somebody in our group pranked us and they just did a really good job of lying, or somebody or something else was there.
Oh man, Riff, that's wild. Was there any residue left on the windows after it had wiped the windows?
Yeah, you could see what, you know how if you put a handprint on something, you can kind of see the ridges from your hand. There was quite a few of those, like on the fingers, and then around the palm area at the bottom. So you could definitely tell it wasn't a situation, because I thought someone had put their hand up there and swiped it, but it was just like a straight, like handprint straight on it and like a wipe. So super interesting.
How hard was it for that owner to clean those windows?
We did. I don't know. I mean, we all took
Okay.
off that next morning and didn't think anything of it until kind of like afterwards. And so it's just kind of one of those like weird memories that just stick with you over time.
Absolutely. Well, man, thanks for coming up and for sharing it. That's a really interesting anecdote from that area. I don't get a lot from that area. So thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Appreciate it.
All right. Hey, Candace, how's it going?
Hey, how are you doing?
Doing good. Do you mind if I potentially use this audio for my podcast?
I've already been on your podcast twice.
Oh my goodness, I
Candace
was
from
like,
Indiana.
Candace sounds so familiar.
Yeah.
What are you up to? So it's okay
Well,
if it's okay if I hold on to this audio then, Candace?
yeah, it's
All right.
fine. It's
Yeah, go
fine.
ahead. Go ahead.
Well, I came to town because I had to move from where I was at because it was so active, and I had pictures and stuff, but
hmm
I had a whole lot more that got taken somehow, some ways.
Right.
I had shared them, and next thing I know, all my stuff was gone. And anyway, well, I've been in town, so there's not been, it's been good. That's been since like December 10th. But
Okay.
I'm moving Sunday, and I'm moving to Washington County, but it's still out in the country, and the house kind of sits back off the road, kind of like it's just all forest and stuff. So I'm gonna see how it goes. Anything happens, or I have experiences or anything like that, I will let you know.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I hope you're doing well.
Oh, I'm doing good. I'm doing
Good.
good. I listen to a lot of the programs and stuff like that, and I like to read comments, and I like to hear other people's opinions. But for the ones out there that say it's somebody in a costume or anything like that, I beg to differ.
Mm,
And I have seen more than just Bigfoot. There's other things out there that people
mhm.
do not realize, and the veil is thinning. So
Oh, no doubt. No doubt.
more things are coming forward.
Yep.
And, like the Bible says, men's hearts will fail them for the fear of the things that come upon the earth. They're already here. Not everybody has the experience to know and to see that it's going to start coming forward more and more and more. I do believe that with all my heart. I know they're real, and nobody's going to tell me any different.
There is an episode coming out soon, Candace, about southern Indiana, the Hoosier National Forest. I don't think it's out yet, but it is crazy. You're going to love it. So keep an eye out for it.
Oh, good. I will.
Yeah.
Well, where I'm at right now, I don't live far from like the Clark Forestry.
Mm-hmm.
So, and where I was 10 miles further out, but I lived pretty far back up in the woods and stuff. But something was coming to my window every night and sniffing the air. All of my batteries, even brand new, I could put them in 1 hour before I set up anything. Motion sensor lights, all that stuff would go dead.
Oh my goodness!
Like
wow.
all of the batteries were drained. So I don't, it's just it's like so much because you're living this and things start when they happen, it's kind of subtle and it makes you question yourself. Like, did I see that or did I hear
Exactly.
that? Or,
Exactly.
or what was that? And then so you listen again and, you have to watch who you tell stuff to because then everybody calls you crazy. But it's like, I have so much evidence, okay? And another encounter that we had went about maybe 3 or 4 miles back into the property where I was and was camping in a tent and stuff back there. And we had to call 911 and the police wouldn't even, there was like 4 or 5 cop cars, but not one of them come back there. They had to send my cousin back there to get us. Yeah, because we couldn't until somebody come back there because our tent got pushed down on. It was just crazy.
Wow, they wouldn't even touch the area. That's wild. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, and then when we got out there, they kept questioning us. They said, well, why wouldn't you answer dispatch when something was said? And I told them, I said, we couldn't. I said, something kept turning our phone off, because I had my phone and my cousin had her phone. And we just got really quiet and kind of dimmed the lights, but they were pushing down on the tents and everything. And then the one police officer, I said, why didn't you all come back there? At least y'all have weapons and you have your flashlights and stuff. And they was like, no, we're fine, but we need to know what you seen and how tall was it. And, basically there wasn't a whole lot they could do.
Yeah, they just need to, they're just keeping eyes on the right areas and then telling the people that
they
are
know
higher
they're
up.
back there. Well, yep. I'm going to tell you what, I'm going to tell you right now, because I know that we kept the topic on Bigfoot and everything, but I'll tell you what we seen back there. And we seen it more than 2 or 3 times. And, I know there's wolves, there's the coyotes. I've been raised in the country my whole life, fishing, hunting, growing up doing that. So I know my animals. This was a werewolf dog man type being. And it was solid black. It had a big mane around its neck. And its face was wolf, but the snout wasn't as long. And it was massive. Okay? All I can say, it was massive. And that is another reason that I moved away from there too, because I felt like this was not just Bigfoot. This was not just Bigfoot coming up to my bedroom window sniffing. I felt like it was this dog man being. And every time I would go outside, I could feel that feeling of don't go past the barn, or turn around and get back in, lock the door, and when you're raised in the country your whole life and you're a country woman, you just grew up running through the woods and all that stuff too. But I had experience at the age of 10, then at 12,
Yes, I know we've had some wild conversations over the years. Candace, I'm just glad you're able to come back on and give an update, and I appreciate you chatting for a little bit.
Oh, no problem. Anytime. But like I said, I'm getting ready to move to another county.
Okay.
It's still out in the country and everything, but I'm hoping that, it's not. It's out in the country, but it's not too isolated. So,
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
like there's still other farms around and stuff.
Absolutely. We'll definitely reach out if you need to, if you have something that happens later on. But Candace, I've got another individual I want to check in with, but thank you so
Okay,
much for
thank
coming up,
you.
ma'am.
All right, thanks.
All right, good to hear from Candace again. We've talked to her a few times on the podcast. We got Project Broken Man says, yes, and it goes way deeper. I'm new to social media, encountered two, a baby and an adult, while rock climbing and rappelling. I'm from deep in the mountains of Tennessee. Let's see if this individual, yeah, I'm going to try to reach out here, see if they want to come up to share. Oh, here we go. Hey, Project Broken Man, how's it going?
Pretty good. How are you doing?
Doing great. Do you mind if I potentially use this audio for my podcast?
Sure.
Cool. So I saw your comments down there, and you've been having some interesting things happen while rock climbing in Tennessee. Is that right?
That's correct.
Would you be able to share about what you've been experiencing down there?
Yes. So, my cousin Timmy and Jesse, we had bought a bunch of rappelling line and, trying to get into the whole rock climbing, hiking, kind of stuff. We were really poor back then, and cutting firewood, logging, all that good stuff. That's we were raised up in the mountains of Tennessee. And anyway, I was a real young man, and my cousin Timmy and my cousin Jesse couldn't make it the day that we were going to go and do this rock. It's kind of like a rock climb and rappel. We got to kind of climb up the easier side of the mountain and then come back down that, rappel back down that side. And we were really new at it. And I decided, they wasn't going to go. So I said, I'm going to go ahead and go. I think Timmy had to work and Jesse had other things going on. And so I drove up the mountain. This particular area, it had it almost looked like a cave entrance about 30 feet off the ground. And we always camped below it, and we always heard like it sounded like a woman, or they say mountain lions and stuff like that would literally just rip and roar, but I had never seen a mountain lion as long as I'd been up there. But so we was always kind of nervous about going up on the very top of that ridge and messing around much without a gun. And well, that day I was feeling my, how do you say it? I'm a little nervous here talking about it, but
Oh, you're good.
I was kind of feeling my oats. And so I drove up and parked my truck, got out, grabbed my rope and all my gear, climbing gear, got most of it put on, started carrying my rope up the mountain, and everything was just a normal day. Birds were singing, everything was going on. I got to the top of the ridge where we were going to rappel down over top of this cave entrance, that coming down the side of that rock bluff. And we had already searched it out and looked at it weeks before. And I'd left a note with my cousin Timmy because he was working that day. And he said, I'm not going to be able to make it. And I said, well, if you do, come find me. You know where I'm going to be at. So he's like, okay. And so I left him another note saying I might be at another little place there around that area, so check there first. If I'm not there, then I'm here, So I get to the top of this area here and I tie off, get set up, and I start down the side of that rock, and it's about 90 feet down to the bottom, 90 feet down to the bottom. and there's a bunch of trees growing up the side of these rocks from the ground. They're just kind of real close to it. And there's like I said, from what you couldn't see the cave from the top. We just knew it was right about that area. It had a very slim rock path that there was no way to get to it. Literally, unless it was like a mountain goat or something like that, maybe could have got down the path, or, it just was not something a human being could get to. I guess if you climbed the trees, you could have probably got to that, that cliff area that I'm talking about. Anyway, I eased off the side of that thing nice and slow, taking my time because I was a little nervous. I was by myself and I didn't want to, slip or, fall or anything. And so I'm easing down that thing. Instead of just kind of jumping and going at it, I'm just walking slow off the side of that rock and, laying on down. And I get right there close to where the rock kind of peaks over, and I know I'm getting close to the top of that little cave entrance. Well, as I get to about where that is, all of a sudden the rope gets just super tight. Like, how can I explain this? It felt like a car. Somebody was trying to pull a car motor up from that rope that was hanging down off that rock. And my first thoughts was, Timmy and them lied to me. They're there and they're playing a joke on me. And here I am hanging off this rock, and they're pulling, do you know much about rappelling and stuff?
Very little. I know the basics of it. Yeah.
Okay, well, if you have a man, sometimes when you're learning, you'll have a man on the bottom to break, just in case you slip or anything. They can pull the rope and it holds you tight, won't let you move one way or the other. And sometimes you get little jokes like that played on you when you're doing that kind of stuff. And I thought it was my cousin Timmy or Jesse, or probably both of them, down at the foot of this embankment or this cliff, pulling that rope tight. So I yelled out, daggone it, stop messing with my rope, it's not funny. Well, the rope went limp again. So as soon as it went limp, I thought, well, they're down there, they're just messing with me. Now, it's not long before getting dark. I'd worked all day that day and I'd had just enough time to get up there and try to play around a little bit. So I start easing down that rock a little more, and as I come down that rock where I can actually see over to that, where I'm going to have to make a big jump over that cave entrance, or I'll end up swinging in it, and I could actually see what's going on, my rope went tight again. And I thought, what was going on? And I looked down right as I was about to yell at my cousin Timmy and them, which I thought was down there. I seen this black creature, young looking thing, about 4 foot tall, swinging off of it.
Oh.
And I thought, what was this? I thought it was like a bear. I'm like, it's not a bear. What is going on? And so I froze, like, literally went to just scared. And no longer than that thing swung back in, something bigger stepped out and looked up at me. And when it did, you could see its eyes just open up. He had these eyes were not white like ours. He had facial features just like us. Other than he was black. But they were like a amber eyes, like a orangish looking tint to them. And I'm about 6 feet away from him. That's how far. Literally, I was at the top of that, right at the edge of that cave entrance. And it let out a shrilling yell, like, I don't know. Just thinking about it shakes me to my core.
Mm.
but it bounced and twisted around 2 or 3 times, grabbed that little one, threw him up on this big old oak tree that was going up, or it might have been that little one, that little one knew what was going on. It hit that tree and went right down the side of that sheer rock cliff where that tree was growing, just slid down it like it was nothing. And that thing jumped up and grabbed that tree and spun around, yelled at me again, and it slid down that tree, and I just froze. I just held on for dear life. I closed my eyes. I just knew I was dead. I didn't know what to think, what to do. When I tell you, everything in me was saying, climb this rope, try to figure out a way to get around. I couldn't do anything. When I say it was, looking back on it, I was raised up in the hills of Tennessee. I've been horseback riding. I've went in the back way, the back way, all the way from Teleco all the way into Caves Cove, horseback riding. I was raised up in the Appalachian Mountains. I've seen everything. So anyway, I could hear him hit the ground, and he went to beating on something down there. It sounded like he had a limb or something hitting the ground, and I could see stuff moving around like leaves and pieces of like branch and stuff, and he was hollering and hollering, and there was only one other area that I could see him. When you walk down this ridge during the summertime, in early spring, before the leaves get back on, you can't even see this rock bluff I'm talking about from the road. In the wintertime, when all the leaves are gone, and in the spring, right before the leaves start growing, you can see this whole rock bluff, and we could always see that little cave entrance, but you couldn't see back into it. It just looked too dark. It looked like it was a cave. I sit there holding on to that rope. It seemed like forever, but it wasn't more than 20, 25 minutes before I knew I had to make a decision. I had to either follow them on down, because I couldn't go back up, or stay there. That was the only 2 options I had. And I seen just bits and pieces of them seconds after they hit the ground, that little one walking right behind it, and I just caught a glimpse of them, and they're both of them standing straight up and down just like a regular human being, and they're walking just like me and you. But I'm telling you, this one creature, he was every bit of 9 feet. It was the biggest thing I've ever seen in my life. And broad, I don't think anybody understands, unless they've seen one up close, just how magnificent these guys are. These things are huge. I don't think this thing wanted to hurt me. I really don't. But when he yelled out at me, it went completely through me. He hit the side of that tree when he jumped on that tree and went down that tree, down between that rock and when I tell you, these trees grow right up beside, some of them's up against the rock. This one was about 3 or 4 feet away from it. But that whole tree, this thing had to be, the base of it had to be 2.5, 3 feet around. And
My goodness.
he went down that thing just like a fireman would on one of those fireman poles back in the old days, how they'd slide down them.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
But I could tell, I could tell by the way it looked up at me, I had scared it. He was not expecting me to be there.
Mm-hmm.
Like But at the same time, I really believe if I would have been a little closer, out of reaction, he probably would have hurt me. Anyway, when the sun's going down, something like that's happened to you, and you're trying to make sense of what just happened. You don't know what's going to happen when you go down. If he's there waiting on you or not, if there's anything else in that hole that's going to pop out of the side of that rock bluff. I was just scared to death.
My goodness. Wow.
But
Sir, this is incredible. Is this Eastern Tennessee?
It is.
Okay. Wow.
You know where Teleco Plains is?
I'm going to look it up real quick because it sounds familiar, but I just want to make sure I'm looking at okay. Teleco Plains. That's like right on the edge of the park.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, before the park was anything. I mean, it's always been a park ever since you got Ball River Falls, you got the state line up there where people used to go four-wheeling up between the North Carolina and the Tennessee line.
Mm-hmm.
So I ended up sliding on down that line, and I hit the ground running down the side of this embankment. It was almost straight down. This embankment is. You got to kind of climb it on all fours to get up to the bottom of the rocks, down to where the old gravel road was. And my truck was down there. It was just in sight. I left the line there, everything. And again, like I said, we were raised in poverty. I think that line we all split it. And I didn't have as much as my cousins. They were old enough to be my uncle. I think it was like $180. I left that line and ended up going back a couple weeks later, but I wouldn't go up there. And I wasn't allowed to tell them what I'd seen or what had me scared because of the talk I had with my father.
Sorry, what year was this again?
This was in 1987.
Okay, thank you.
So there's no one listening right now, correct?
Oh no, there is. Yeah, there's
Okay.
So when you're on TikTok, there's something called a TikTok Live, and right now you can see up in the corner there's about 41 people in here.
Okay. Well then we'll figure out a way to talk privately then if you want to hear the rest of it. I'll tell you the rest of what happened. I ended up getting in the truck and I left.
Okay.
But my father and I found out later my father and my uncle and an old boy, which was one of my daddy's good friends, and a few other men that were pretty much, they were raised there. Of course I was too, but I was raised on a 300-acre farm, but they protected them up there. One in particular. Yeah.
Whoa.
My dad had done a surgery, and it's kind of a cool story, but again, like I said, I can't get into all of the details, but my dad, I told you we lived on a farm, so my dad had everything from antibiotics to anything to put a cow down to to be able to do any kind of work to it. He knew all the veterinarians and everything around there. But he ended up he found one when I wasn't even born yet. I turned 1 when actually they started having like a friendship thing. Not like hey, how are you doing? But picking daddy's apples, the sour apple trees we had in the backyard, leaving part of them for my dad, stacked up actually. But anyway, long story short, my dad took something out of the leg of one of those, but he was trying to put him down with using apples. He found him when he was plowing one of his fields, and he didn't know what it was, he said. And that's just what my daddy told me. Anyway, it was down, laying there. and wasn't hardly moving. And when Daddy come up on it, it was literally trying to get up and move, but couldn't. Dad said his whole leg was swollen, almost to the waist, size of the waist of my dad at the time, he said. My dad was a pretty good sized guy, but one of his legs had something wrong with it, and it was festered up. My dad taught me how to cut hogs, everything, you name it. Anyway, long story short there, they become friends, but my dad ended up putting him down long enough to cut him. He actually gave him, trying to think of the name of that stuff. It's been years since I've been around it. Anyways, to put bulls down, and he thought he might have killed it.
Oh,
but he did it because he wouldn't take the apples. He was trying to throw them across the little creek to where it would climbed up under the bushes and little maple tree there, but he ended up taking the pressure off that leg by opening him up and patched him up, just field dressed him or what have you. And that thing become like part of the family for like 6 years, meaning, not like living with him or anything like that, but let's just say he had a new little security system.
no way.
You know
Oh
what?
man, dude, we got it. Yeah. Okay, so this is my email. It's bigfootsociety@gmail.com.
Oh, let me grab something here, because
Yep.
I said, I ain't that smart. I think I'll have to
Oh, you're
get
good.
my wife to help me do it. Go ahead and give it to me.
So it's bigfootsociety@gmail.com, and I can spell that out if you need.
Now my wife can do that for me. So
All right,
Bigfoot
cool.
Society, BFS.
Yep, bigfootsociety@gmail.com.
That's that little round circle with an A in it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Bigfoot Society at what? One more time.
Gmail. Gmail.com. Yep.
.com. So if you check out my little thing there, my wife set up, and she always is filming me, but I'm building a rig right now to go overlanding, but it's made to get off of the old logging trails, and it's going to have everything set up in it. And, we're going to go look at the stars and just go see what we can find. She knows how to run them cameras and stuff. And
Nice. Yeah, I'll definitely check it out.
yeah. So I'll get in contact with you and give you my information. It most likely be my wife sending this stuff to you.
Yeah.
And she'll give you my cell phone number.
Perfect. Yeah.
Yeah, my dad's passed away now, but I think there's 2 guys still alive that had also taken that vow to protect these guys.
Oh wow, really? Oh yeah, we definitely we'll talk later for sure. That's intense.
Yeah, I've got a lot of stuff too that might could help you guys. I've been watching some of these little videos here on YouTube that you can really, if you've ever had an encounter or actually seen one, you can really see, it cuts through the bull, of what some people put out there. And,
Sure.
One thing I will tell you, I hear these guys talking about an odor. I never really smelled anything bad.
Oh wow.
Like I never had. Of course, I'm above it, and I don't remember the wind blowing real hard or anything like that. It was just a nice, calm day. But I can tell you everything about its legs, what it looked like, because I remember just these things when they move. If we had those integrated into our, and I don't mean like mating with us or whatever, but that's something
Right.
I don't think you couldn't put something like that in a zoo. That's not something I would never help someone do something like they're not.
Right.
I think they're too family oriented. They're too far along in the evolutionary train. They're not something that they're smarter than us.
I think so too.
You hear these hunters, oh, if it was real, I'd have it because I'm a so and so hunter. Well, I've hunted all my life. My family and his family. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm probably one of the best hunters out there, but I can tell, and I never had even seen one. These guys they are a master of their environment.
Mm.
And I think that day, the reason I got as close as I did is because, I was a quarter mile south of them, and I went up and over top of the ridge, way up high, and then you walk back down the ridge to the bluff to where you do your, to where you can rappel. And I think me coming off of there, I don't even think he heard me then. I think when I yelled out, thinking it was my cousin Timmy, or either him or both of Jesse, I think that's what alerted it. I think it was probably napping. I really think they're nocturnal.
There's definitely more activity at night from what I've heard for sure in most areas. But it's been a pleasure chatting with you, sir. I hope that you are able to reach out at a later time so we can, continue our conversation.
Most definitely. I'll have, like I said, as soon as my wife gets back, she went grocery shopping. So when she gets back, I'll have her talk to you. I mean, I'll have her send you an email with all my information, and we'll talk more about what my dad talked about with me.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'll look forward to it. Thank you so much.
All right. You too now. Have a good day. God bless you.
You too, sir. Oh my goodness. That's why you do TikTok lives, to talk to individuals like that. That was amazing. I'm going to keep on going here. We've got a few people requesting to come on up. Hey, Tom, this is Jeremiah. How's it going?
Good. How are you? Can you hear me okay?
Yes, sir. You sound great. Do you mind if I potentially use this audio for my podcast?
Nope. Go right ahead.
All right. Well, yeah, feel free to share what you've experienced, sir.
Okay. We've talked a little bit, back and forth, just, typing, but
Okay.
I'm from Massachusetts. I was a railroad engineer, and I was on a train one night, and I had an encounter with one that crossed the tracks right in front of me.
My goodness. What part of Mass?
Are you familiar with Massachusetts at all?
Yeah, I grew up in Western Mass in Northfield.
Well, that's where this happened. It was between Dalton and Middlefield.
No way. Oh my goodness.
What is it? That's like the southwest corner of Mount Greylock, correct?
I'm gonna refresh my memory. Yeah, so this is down in the Berkshires. Well, it's over by
Absolutely, yes,
Pittsfield.
that's exactly where it was. Right
Okay,
along the
so
Appalachian Trail, I wasn't
my
very far
goodness.
from it.
So you said Dalton and where else again?
Middlefield.
Middlefield. Okay, gotcha.
That's going,
Wow.
closer towards the top of the mountain.
Yeah. My grandparents were in Great Barrington, so I'm very
Yep, I know
familiar.
exactly
Yeah.
where you're at.
Yep. I just talked to a guy from down Egremont about his situation. But wow, so you were engineer on a train and you saw one right in front of you.
Yeah, this happened a long time ago. It was probably around 2005 or so.
Okay.
I had an extremely heavy train, and I was only doing probably 4 or 5 miles an hour pulling the mountain. And it was dark. I mean, it was 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. So I only seen it briefly, through whatever the headlight covers, you know what I mean? And it walked in front of me across the tracks. It never touched the tracks. It went from one side of the track to the other without even touching. And the track is almost 4 feet wide. So, I mean, his stride was pretty big.
My goodness.
He wasn't running or anything, but he was briskly walking. And he looked at the train. I mean, he couldn't see anything but a stupid headlight anyway, but
Right.
I mean, he looked and then looked back and just kept going, and then he was out of sight. And I had a flashlight with me, and I tried to illuminate the field as we were going by, but whatever it was, he was just gone. I never saw him again.
What was the main thing you noticed that made you think, okay, this isn't a bear, this is something else?
Well, it was walking on 2 feet for sure. I mean, this thing was probably 8 feet tall, and it was a dark brown in color. I mean, I know it wasn't a bear. I know bear. I've been bear hunting hundreds of times. I mean, you just know the difference when you see it, you know?
Wow. What was the first thing you did after it walked off into the woods?
I went to the bathroom.
Yeah, I would probably do the same. That's amazing.
I just
go
wasn't
ahead.
expecting it. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm thinking I'm tired. What am I seeing here? I mean, it didn't register at first, you know?
Oh my goodness. Had any of your other buddies had similar things happen in that area?
I don't know. I've never talked about it really. So
Really? This is your first time talking about it?
yeah, I was afraid they'd fire me. Thought I was crazy or something.
Oh my goodness. Wow, so this is like 20 some odd years ago and you've never talked about it.
No, not to anyone.
Wow. I appreciate you sharing on this platform. I mean, that's incredible.
The conductor in the train I was with didn't even see it. He was doing paperwork or something at a desk, and I just never said anything. He never saw it.
How did that affect you going like 20 years without ever sharing about it?
Well, I got to tell you, for the first couple of days, I didn't sleep too good. It was freaking me out a little. And then after, I was praying like I never had to walk the tracks in the middle of the night if I had a problem with the train in that area. I probably would have just stayed in the train and called somebody and said I can't get out or something.
Did you get a feel for it? Was it more of a skinnier creature or more muscular?
No, he looked pretty muscular. I mean, it wasn't small by any means. I mean, he was pretty bulky, so. But I mean, I don't know how much of that was actually, flesh bulk or hair. So I mean, like I said, I only saw it for a matter of maybe 10, 15 seconds or so. It wasn't.
Oh, 10, 15 seconds. Wow. That's a long time, man.
I wasn't, like I said, I wasn't even sure what I was looking at first.
Yeah.
Kind of startled me. Nothing is walking around out there in the middle of the night that I've ever seen. And I rode trains over that mountain for over 25 years, so that was the first and only encounter I've ever saw.
Were you able to see any of its face at all, or was it just pretty much the side view of it?
I mean, he looked at me, but the face was, I didn't know, I didn't get any record. He was probably 100 feet from me or so
okay.
Kind of hard to see. I mean, his face size comparison to where I was, I don't remember seeing, it didn't dawn on me that his face was white or black, or it just was, probably the same color as the fur.
Was this, trying to look at the map here. Does the train go through like that, any of the wildlife management areas or the state forests or around it, or?
I would imagine it probably all of it is. I mean, 90% of that hill is a rock cut, and there's only a couple of places where it opens up, where anything can pass through.
Gotcha.
But like I said, 90% of it is a rock. It's just a rock cut, and the tracks are laid in between, two. I don't know. It's like it was all cut out in granite,
Yeah, absolutely. Man, I'm just going to call you Tom. Tom, thank you so much for, finally getting to the point where you can share what you experienced on the train that day. That's pretty awesome, dude.
Well, thanks for having me. I appreciate it. I mean, I've never told anybody, so you're the first.
Absolutely. Absolutely. If you ever need to reach out again, it sounds like you know how to contact me, so you feel free to do that, sir. But thank you so much for coming up today.
All right, thank you. Have a good day.
You too. Just wanted to take a minute to say thank you truly for listening to this episode of the Bigfoot Society podcast. Project Broken Man's encounter is one of the most intense we've ever shared, not just because of what he saw clinging to his rappel rope, but because of how close it came to being something far more dangerous. So huge thanks to him and to everyone else who came forward with their stories from Lake Wales, Oklahoma City, Washington, and the Berkshires. These stories remind us that no matter where you are in the country, something might be watching. If you enjoyed this conversation, please subscribe to us over on YouTube, hit the bell icon so you never miss an episode, and share this one with a friend who's into Sasquatch, Tennessee legends, or just a good mystery. And if you're on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, give us a follow. And if you'd be willing to leave a review, it helps more folks discover these stories. And if you've had a Bigfoot encounter, especially in Tennessee, Washington, or around Massachusetts, I'd love to hear from you. So thanks again for being part of the Bigfoot Society. And until next time, keep your eyes open, trust your gut, and never stop asking what else might be out there. And see you in the woods.